I need to tell you something that might really frustrate you, but you are doing this all wrong. If you have a goal to increase your lifestyle, you want to increase your income, increase your time freedom, and you've Googled all the ideas and you've watched all the videos, you've downloaded all the free PDFs, you've bought all the courses, you've built out the vision board, but you're still spinning your tires and you're still sort of depressed about how little you've actually been able to move the needle forward. If this is you, my friend, it is because you are focused on fixing and increasing and doing the wrong thing. So if you are here with me on this YouTube teaching and you want to stop focusing on the wrong thing, you want to start focusing on the right stuff, then just go ahead and comment, "I got the right stuff, baby." Just type that in the comments or the chat section down below. So a lot of people think that they just need to find the right business model. If I just get the right strategy, if I just get the right plan, the right information, if I just follow the right YouTube guru, then I will finally build momentum. I will finally see the increase that I want to in my life. And of course, all or most of those things are really good things. And you should do those things and add them to their life. But that's not where you start. You see, so many people think that the first step to success is learning what to do and trying to do more of it. But actually, this keeps people really stuck and moving a lot slower than they want to, because the first step to success is not actually to do more. Step number one is to become more. Step number one is to become the type of person who can do the things, who can do the success steps, who can do the thing and do it well, right? Who can do the thing and do it fluidly and do it with authority, do it successfully. Success doesn't start with what you do, my friends. Success starts with who you become. So if you are focused on increasing and improving your lifestyle, then the first thing that you need to focus on is actually your identity. Because the truth is, if you want to grow, if you want to increase, if you want to improve, you are never going to be able to outgrow what your identity allows, like your income and your freedom and your control, your lifestyle. This stuff is never going to outgrow your identity. Your identity sets the ceiling, not your strategy, not really your resources, not your timing. Your identity is made up of your self-image, okay? Your self-image is made up of everything that you believe about yourself, and what you believe about yourself is what you actually allow you to do, or allow yourself to do. That's the key here. What you allow yourself to do, this is your courage. Now, how many of you have heard of this crazy acronym called BHAGS? What's a BHAG? If you know it, try to beat me to it. Type it down in the comment. What's a BHAG? BHAGs stand for big, hairy, audacious goals. They're big because they're big, right? You're trying to make big changes in your life. They're hairy because they're scary. Some of the stuff that you have to do intimidates you, makes you feel nervous. You have a little bit of doubt surrounding it. They're audacious because people think, how in the world does this person have the audacity to think that they could possibly move forward and achieve a goal like this? So that's why they're called BHAGs. They're big, hairy, audacious goals. And if you want to reach goals like this, then yeah, you gotta make big moves. You have to do the big, scary things. But at first, it's not about knowing exactly how to do these things. At first, it's about having the courage to actually take the first steps, because it's awesome if you know the step-by-step process, unless you don't actually do it, right? Knowing the step-by-step process of how to do something is fantastic, unless you don't actually have the courage to walk out those steps. Then it is useless to you. So let's put this back up on the screen. Your identity. Your identity is your self-image. We got to reverse engineer all of this. If you want to increase your lifestyle, you've got to increase your identity. And increasing your identity means you got to first start with your courage. Okay? In order to increase your courage, you've got to increase what you allow yourself to do. And you're only going to be able to step out and do more, increase what you are actually doing. You're only going to do that if you actually increase and build up your self-belief. What are you actually believing about yourself? Which, of course, then ties into your self-image. So you've got to just develop this like giant, almost Donald Trump level self-image of yourself, right? Maybe not that big. But in order to increase your identity, you got to start with courage. So you just reverse this process, okay? Work your way all the way back to just increasing and improving and building up your self-image. So, awesome. Okay, how do we do all of that? Well, how you do that is you develop this thing called awareness. In order to do anything, you first have to be aware of the fact that you need to do it, right? You've got to have an awareness that increasing and improving your self-image is even something that needs to be done in the first place, right? Now, most people are just so woefully unaware of how unaware they actually even are. And that's a shame because awareness, especially self-awareness, when applied toward increasing your lifestyle, this has the potential to become one of your superpowers. So let's talk about Henry Ford. I know it's random, but yeah, you know Henry Ford, right? The guy who completely transformed the transportation industry, the auto industry. So I'm located here in Michigan, in Southeast Michigan, outside of Detroit. Metro Detroiters pretty much worship Henry Ford. It's where he was from. We've got so many things dedicated to Henry Ford here in the Metro Detroit area. But Henry Ford was able to completely transform an industry, impact his family's legacy for generations to come. I mean, his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren here in the Metro Detroit area, they own so much stuff. They run so much stuff. They are plugged into the network and the government of so much stuff. Henry Ford was able to disrupt an industry, impact his family, increase his wealth and his legacy because he was aware of so many things that so many other people in that era of time, stuff that just wasn't even on their radar. So at the time prior to Henry Ford building the Model T, let's just have a little history session and lesson right now, okay? Before Henry Ford built the Model T, cars were really, really expensive. And they broke down all the time. They were really costly to maintain and upkeep. They were also really, really expensive to just build in the first place. And people just believed, they just knew that cars were only going to be this luxury item that only the wealthy would ever be able to afford. Like, imagine if all we had available to us, our only options for vehicles were like Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Maybachs. Like, a lot of us would be walking or biking to wherever we needed to go. Maybe horses would still be employed instead of on the unemployment line, right? So because of this just industry-wide belief, vehicles are only for the rich, no one made any moves forward to make any changes to anything about that. But Henry Ford had a bigger identity. He had a bigger self-image. He had a bigger set of beliefs, and he had the courage to move forward with a lot of changes that changes and impacted not just the industry, but the entire world. So what Henry Ford believed was, yes, currently, right now, today, of course, cars are currently expensive to produce. They're currently expensive to maintain and upkeep. But he also believed different methods could be developed to simplify the process and reduce costs. Henry Ford also had another awareness of an emerging market that for some reason his competitors were just completely either blind to or just ignoring. But this was in the middle of the industrial age. The world, not just the United States, the world was hungry for innovation, kind of like when the internet came on the scene, like the world was hungry for the internet, right? And Henry Ford believed that if the price was right, tens of thousands of people, not just nationwide, but worldwide, would be able to buy automobiles. And as history shows us, Henry Ford was right about everything that he believed. The only thing that he actually got wrong was the number. It wasn't just tens of thousands of people, it ended up being millions of people, right? And now, however many generations later, tens of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people, bazillions of people are driving mass-produced cars because of the methods and the models that he had an awareness of to put into place. So if Henry Ford were around today, we would call him a disruptor. He'd be known as a disruptor. Disruptors are those out-of-the-box thinkers who they not only impact their industry, but they also can impact their family legacy for generations to come. Sometimes they even impact and change the world. But the truth about being a disruptor, the truth about having that level of impact is you cannot disrupt something that you are not aware of. In order for you to increase this self-image and self-belief, you've got to become aware of the disruptions that are disrupting you, and these disruptions need to be disrupted. So I'm tying this whole automobile lesson back into your life, your lifestyle, your identity. What I mean by disrupt the disruptions is there's stuff in your life holding you back. It either lives in your brain or it exists in your physical world, and it's got to stop. Like you either got to stop thinking it, or you got to stop doing it, or you got to stop going there, or you got to stop seeing that person. So God gave us this awesome prayer in Psalm 139, it's verses 23 through 24. This is David praying, and he's saying to God, "Search me, God, and know my heart. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." David is asking God to help him disrupt his disruptions. Reveal any incorrect beliefs or thought processes. Remove any obstacles from my environment. I just want to move forward, God. I've got big plans for you and for me and for the world. He's asking God to give him the awareness of what's disrupting him. So you can also pray this prayer. Just ask God to show you, like, what is holding me back in my life? What isn't serving my purpose? What isn't moving me forward in a meaningful way? What's an anchor right now? So in your life, you've got internal disruptions and you've got external disruptions. So internal disruptions are going to be the stuff that's going on in your brain, right? It's the thoughts and the beliefs that you have about yourself. And then external disruptions, external is everything in your physical world, right? External disruptions will be the habits, the relationships, how you spend your time. So one of the best things that you can do for yourself, if you really want to increase your identity so that you can become the person who can do the things and do them well, instead of trying to figure out what you need to do, use that time instead to sit down and just identify your disruptions. Open up a notebook, open up your computer, just start writing this stuff down, put it in front of you, put it in words. This process will help you to develop an awareness real quick of what it is that's holding you back, disrupting you from moving forward. So just honestly assess and ask yourself, is there anything that I believe about myself that's holding me back? Tackle your internal disruptions first. What are my limiting beliefs or doubts that hold me back? And then you got to start asking yourself why. So when you identify what they are, like what are the limitations in your brain, then you have to just sort of do some psychological analysis on yourself and now start asking yourself why. Why do I believe these things? How did this limiting belief even get inside my brain in the first place? Where did this come from? Who told me I can't do that? Shouldn't do that? And if you're a Christian and you are believing in God and you're reading the Bible, if it's not in the Bible, if it's not biblical and somebody's putting this limitation or this putting you in this box, but you don't see it in the Bible, it does not apply, my friend. So many Christians, this is a side note, by the way, so many Christians superimpose all of these limitations on themselves that don't actually come from the Bible. You got to actually know the parameters that God gave you, because the box that you live in that God gave you is so much bigger than the box the world gave you. Okay, that's the end of my rant on that. But seriously, when I do this exercise with my students, when I did this exercise with myself, we all begin to realize that much of what we believe about ourselves is what the world told us. It's not what God's word tells us in the Bible, because your self-image was made in the image of God, right? So if you believe that, then you need to start telling yourself that. Once you start telling yourself that, you will just watch your self-image increase and improve in such a powerful way. The next thing that you need to do in this exercise, once you have hashed out all of the internal disruptions going on in your life, is you got to think about those physical disruptions. What's going on in my physical world, my personal world? Like, what are the habits that I need to stop? What are the relationships, the friendships, the circles of people that I'm associating with? What relationships are holding me back? What am I spending my time on that doesn't serve my purpose? Like, what am I distracting myself with? What am I making an excuse of, like, oh, I need to go and do that. I can't do this because I need to go and do that. Think of these external disruptions as like sandbags on a hot air balloon. The more of these things you cut loose from your life, the higher you are going to ascend, right? So my husband and I, we were so blessed to be able to build a 7-figure real estate investing business together. And this business has greatly increased and improved our lifestyle in so many ways, not just financially, but it's increased and improved our time freedom, our decision freedom. What that means is we are actually able to make decisions based on what we want, what's best for us, not based on, an employer or other people or other organizations that we're tied to. Like, this freedom of lifestyle that we have is so priceless, but our lifestyle did not start like that. It actually started out very frustrating as a married couple, and it went that way for a handful of years. I mean, we were so broke that in our 5th year of marriage, we actually had to sell our house and move into my parents' basement in our early 30s, right after we had had our first baby, both my husband and I being college grads, working careers. We had to sell our house and move into my parents' basement because we couldn't afford that house anymore. And it was not some lavish, luxurious house. This was a small little, like, 1,000 square foot brick ranch in the Metro Detroit area. But having to go through this, like, it was a bummer at the time, but looking back on it, I know that it was such a blessing, because having to go through this, like, rough spot, it put such a burning desire in me to do something about it, to, like, really do something about it, to really just disrupt, like, the frustration that was going on in my life. And so I developed this burning desire to build a business. I knew that if we could just take more control of our income, if we could just take more control of our time, I knew that we would be able to finally start to get out of this hole, and then maybe even start to build some real wealth, and then maybe even be able to have great experiences and give our kids, a better life. But the thing is at first I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I could achieve it because my self-image and my identity, it was so small. It was so small, and I really needed to build it up and to make it bigger. And one of the untrue limiting beliefs that I had at the time was it takes money to make money. I wanted so badly to build a business. I wanted so badly to build wealth, but I had been taught my whole life this phrase, just type in the comments, me too. If this is you, I believed that it took money to make money, right? It takes money to make money. I believed that statement. And so since we didn't have any money, we didn't have a house, right? Living in my parents' basement, I just figured that we were doomed to remain stuck. But then one day I was listening to this guy. His name is Grant Cardone. And he said he had the audacity to say, it doesn't actually take money to make money. It takes courage to make money. You see, it was around this time that my husband and I were thinking about going into real estate investing. Quite the BHAG, right? It was a big, hairy, audacious goal. We had the audacity to consider going into real estate investing, not even having a home that we owned ourselves. But we just started talking about it and thinking about it. We didn't have the money. We didn't qualify for a mortgage. We didn't know how we were going to step into this arena, but I got some really great advice to start following people on the internet. This was a while ago. I know everybody follows everybody on the internet today, but 10 plus years ago, this was still sort of a novel idea. But I got some really great advice to, hey, if there's anything that you want to do, there's videos on YouTube that'll teach you how, or there's people on YouTube who are doing the thing. So I just started following the people online who were doing the things that I wanted to do. But here's the caveat. I didn't follow people who started off wealthy and are doing big things. I started following the people who started off just like me, broke as a joke, but somehow they busted through that ceiling and they were still able to do big things. So because we were interested in real estate investing and because I wanted to follow people who had a similar storyline to myself, I started listening to Grant Cardone and people like him. And these people, they were all saying the same thing. You don't need money to make money. You just need to learn specific skills, and you just need the courage to actually move forward with them. And I wanted so badly for my husband and I to learn these specific skills. So with the teeny little scrap of courage that we had and the teeny tiny little amount of money that we sort of didn't have, we made a huge investment at the time for us. We hired a real estate investing coach to teach us those specific skills that we knew we needed to learn in order to move the needle forward. And it was so scary. He was the first coach that we ever hired, but like lucky for us, he was absolutely amazing. And he taught us everything that has become like the foundation of how we built this business from literally nothing to over 7 figures in revenue in just a few years. But here's the thing about this coach of mine. Before he would teach us any of the tactics, before he would teach us what to do, he said, before I teach you anything to do, he insisted that what we first focus on was our mindset. And he taught me something that I will never forget. He said, your mindset will set the stage for every success that you have. And it will also determine what you do with every failure, like how you're going to respond. Are you going to fall apart? He said, the strength of your mindset, who you become, will make or break you as an entrepreneur. And so that's when I realized, you know what? My mindset really is my identity. My mindset is who I am because that's my self-image. And so if my self-image is weak, if my self-image is small, everything that I attempt to do will be weak. Everything that I attempt to do will be small, and everything will just crumble and break apart. And even if I do achieve some success, I'm not going to be able to sustain it. So before John Paul and I tackled a giant real estate investors to-do list, we first tackled increasing our identity. So in Matthew 7, Jesus tells this parable about the wise man who built his house upon the rock. The wind and the water came, and the house did not fall. So here's the truth. Your goals are not the house. The stuff that you want to do, your dreams, that's not the house that you're building. You are the house. Before you start building outside of yourself, you've got to build yourself. You are the house. And if you're married and if you've got kids, then it's all of those people too, like you and your spouse and your kids, your little family unit. You guys, you are the house. Okay? Now, sometimes things outside of your house will fall apart. Sometimes limbs fall off trees, right? Sometimes gutters fall off, whatever it is that goes off, or, goes on around your house. The plants in your front garden die, right? Because you forget to water them. Hello. So sometimes the things that you want to do will fall apart. Sometimes your goals and your dreams will fall apart. It's going to happen. It's part of life. But when this happens, it is so important that you and your spouse and your family do not fall apart. So understand that your identity is really your foundation, and a person is only as weak or as strong as how they build their foundation. So down in the comments section, I'm going to give you some homework. I want you to tell me what are going to be some of the things that you will be identifying. Maybe do this activity first and then come back to this video, or maybe you know them like right now off your head. Tell me, what are one or two things that need to be disrupted in your life so that you can become the type of person who can easily, successfully do the things and then reach those big, hairy, scary goals. All right, so type that down in the comments section for me. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.